Hi everyone, this is Sherry. Welcome back. I have some great news to share with you today. I have just joined the design team for the Cut Shoppe, and the announcement is being made today, and so I am so excited to share that with you. I love the Cut Shoppe, and I'm showing you now a couple of the files that I'm going to be using on the layout today. The first one is Let Them Eat Pie, the second is All Tied Up Alpha, and the third is the Love Letters. And so I'm going to be using those on my layout today. Now, Ashley has been so generous because today is actually the 1-year anniversary for the Cut Shoppe, and so she is going to be giving away a file on each of the design team members' blogs. So you will actually have a chance to use the main cut file that I'm using today, which is the Let Them Eat Pie. And so there's actually 4 different cut files in that set, so it's a great set to get, and I'm going to be using that on my layout today. So if you want a chance to win that, that is going to be on my blog. So I have a link in the box below. You need to go to my blog to enter in that drawing. Okay, so follow the link to my blog and leave a comment there, and you will be entered to win the Let Them Eat Pie cut files from the Cut Shoppe. And I am a huge fan of the cut files. I've been using them for some time, and I just love them. They just add so much to the layout, and they're so fun to work with. So I'm using one of the files. Like I said, you get 4 of them, but I'm using one of them on the layout today. And so and there it is right there. That's the one. And I've made it larger to be kind of part of my background and use the frames. And what I'm doing right now is I'm just prepping my background on the layout, and I've just taken this plain pattern paper, and I'm applying some gesso. First I was going to do clear gesso, and then I didn't kind of like how that was affecting the paper, so I went ahead and added some white. Plus I like the white because it just kind of tones it down a little bit. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some mist and different color to the background. And so then you can see I took my palette knife and I just swiped in some gesso on there just to give it some of those kind of like the streaks of the palette knife. I kind of like the look that gave. And so I'm just trying to get that to dry right now. And I am sorry, it's been a while since I've done some videos. My kids are actually staying with us right now. There you can see my grandson's little hand. I was in my craft room and he came in, he was playing in there, and of course he wanted to kind of see what I was up to, so of course I couldn't resist. I put him in my lap and kind of let him play a little bit, and so you see that hand peek in there every now and then because he wanted to help. So hey, I was just kind of like encouraging the art in him, and so yeah, he's playing, so had to get that little hand in there. Anyway, so they're staying with us right now. They had a big leak in their kitchen, and so their whole kitchen is having to be ripped out basically and redone. So of course with a baby, you can't stay in a place without a kitchen. So, and actually their whole downstairs is completely covered in plastic, and they're just not able to live there. So they're staying with us now. So things have been a little bit upside down for these empty nesters, let me tell you. My husband and I, after my daughter moved out, I mean, we just spread out. We took over the rooms. I've got a craft room. He's got an office. I mean, it's just, we got so accustomed to being alone. And then, so now they're staying with us, and they're so great. They're not a problem at all. It's just cramped, and my studio now has a playpen where the baby sleeps, and so my time in my studio has been limited, and I have to work around naps and bedtimes, which sometimes I scrapbook late, and I work full time, so all of that, trying to get that coordinated all together, has just been a little bit crazy. But thankfully I was able to get this video and this layout done, so I'm hoping to get a few more done in the next few days. So if you're wondering where I've been, that's kind of what's been going on. So time has been a little bit limited, and access to my room and supplies has been limited. So thankfully I had some time to get in here this day and kind of knock this one out. So anyway, what I'm doing is I'm just layering some of the mist on the background paper, and layering, kind of had a smudge there, and there in the bottom right, and I was just adding some more gesso over the top of it, which you can always do if you make a mistake. Gesso works great to cover mistakes, and I kind of like the way it looked. I like the the white layer of gesso on there. And then I'm adding a little bit of teal because I wanted a little bit of blue in there as well. And so I'm just dabbing on a little bit of teal mist there. Kind of wasn't sure exactly what colors. It was kind of hard when I was working. It's kind of like a lime green background. So I had to be careful. You see, I was kind of testing there in the center of the page to see what would work, because colors on top of colors obviously make a different, shade. So I wanted to make sure that it was going to match. And what I'm doing here is I've just taken different pattern papers, and I did this ahead of time before the filming so you wouldn't have to watch me do this. And I just cut them to fit in the frames of that cut file. And so I have just some random sheets of paper, and then I'm just adding some color to those with just a gelato, different colors of gelato, and just smearing those in just to give it a little bit more color, a little bit more interest there. So I'm just randomly taking some gelatos and just randomly coloring those in. And then I'm going to place them underneath that cut file to fill in those spaces there. And I just left the cut file white because I didn't want it to be colored in this situation, in this case. I just wanted to leave it white, and so I'm just adding some color there. And then here's my photo that I'm going to use. I'm using that photo of my grandson, and we were at the creek. We had went to some friends to have some property, and we had went there over Labor Day, and which is just this past Monday, and they have a little creek there on the property, and it was his first time really playing in a creek like that, and he loved it. Oh my goodness, he had so much fun. There was lots of other kids there too, and he didn't want to leave. I mean, he just was like playing in the water, and his big thing was throwing rocks. And so he would find rocks and he would pick them up and throw them, and then he would just laugh. I mean, this belly laugh, like he was just having so much fun. So thankfully I was able to get some pictures, and so that's what I'm titling this layout, is Throwing Rocks. And so that's the photo I'm going to be using. And then you can see I just added a little bit of acrylic paint there on the background. I just wasn't happy with the splatter look. For some reason, it just wasn't really what I was going for. So I just did some dry brushing with some acrylic paint over the top of it, and I kind of like the effect that gave, because you can still see the dots of mist behind it, and then the acrylic on top of it kind of gives it a whole nother layer of texture. So I was feeling much better about it after I added the paint. And so I'm just giving it a quick hit with my gun here to try to get it to dry, and I'm going to go ahead and just back it on that black background. I wanted to, trim it a little bit, put it on a background so that I could just have that base and kind of give that a little bit more strength. And right now what I'm doing is I'm using my Scotch Quick Dry adhesive with that fabulous little glue bottle, and I'm going to go ahead and start adhering the cut file down. Now when you do this, you have to, I've done a couple of layouts like this where I've used a cut file large like this and filled in the frames. You just have to adhere a little bit at a time to get up behind there. So I just adhered one section of the cut file, and then I started adhering the pieces underneath it. And so you're going to see me just kind of fiddle with it a little bit here and there. I've sped it up a little bit so it's not going to take so long for you to watch it. But I'm just tucking those pieces in underneath the cut file, and then making sure I get them placed properly, and then go back in and then glue down the top over it. And that is the best way that I have found to be able to do that, because there's not really enough space on the cut file to actually glue the piece behind it and make it one piece. So I just glue it straight to the background and then go in and glue the cut file down over the top of it. And that's always worked for me. So I'm just going in and adding those pieces there. I'm going to go ahead and get my photo glued down as well. And so that's what I'm doing with the frame. You can kind of see there, it frames the pattern papers, it's framing the photo, and now I'm just going back in and adding adhesive and glue to the cut file so that I can actually adhere it to the layout over the top of the pieces. And that worked out great. Everything went down smooth and stayed down, and it was all good. So yeah, now what I'm doing is I'm just pressing that down good, and I didn't want to use my hands because I didn't want to smear, gelato or have things on my hands, and so I just kind of used the black paper to kind of make sure everything was pressed down. And now I'm trimming the edge of that so that I can get it on the background, and just kind of trimming maybe about a 1/4 inch off of both sides of that. Yeah, so I don't know if you've ever, if some of you are empty nesters, but I didn't realize how much you get used to having your space. And it's just so funny because my husband and I are like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize how much, and oh gosh, I love my family. I love them so much. And we get along great. My kids are just amazing and get along great. And I think they are ready to go home. They've been here for over a week now, and this is a process that's going to take a couple of weeks. And I know they're ready to go home as much as we're ready to have our space back. I'm sure they are ready to get theirs. So it's just so funny because it's just funny how you get used to certain things, and people are upset about their kids leaving and leaving the nest and all of that. And then after you get used to it, it's like, oh my gosh, it's like a wonderful thing. So if any of you out there can relate, I hope I'm not the only one that feels that way. So anyway, let me get back to the layout here. The alpha that I'm using, the one that says rocks, that's actually the cut file, I think it's called All Tied Up, and it's an alpha from the Cut Shop as well. I love that alpha. I had to use it on this layout, and it just cuts all those little pieces out of the letters, and I just thought it looked so cool. It looks like string art. So I wanted to use that for part of my title. And then I'm using these letter stickers, and I want to say they're from Simple Stories. I'm hoping that that's right. I threw the packaging away, so I don't remember, but I think it's Simple Stories. And then I'm going to just go ahead and tack down those letters. Again, I've got it sped up pretty quick here, so you don't have to watch the monotony of gluing down each letter. But I really love the way that looks, and I wanted to do it in black since I have the background in black, and I've got the polka dots there, polka dot paper. And I just love the way those letters look, so I was really happy with those. And then I'm adding the little alpha letters here, and I was kind of wanting to just make them just a little bit whimsical, and kind of going around the O there for the title, Throwing Rocks. I didn't have to glue them down because they weren't sticking to the page very well, so may have been the gesso that I had on the background. And then Love This is also a cut file from the Cut Shop, and I'll put links to all of these things in the comments. And so that is another file, and you can just do so much with these files. I just love them because you can use them over and over. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just adding a few more embellishments here, and I didn't feel like it needed a whole lot. The pattern paper is busy, you got the background going on. I really didn't want a whole lot of embellishments, but I did want a few things. So I'm using some puffy stickers from, I believe this is from Evalicious. They were from, I think, the Hip Kit Club, I think from the May kit. So, and then also I'm using this little banner type, I guess it's a banner or string up there in the left corner. And I am hoping, I'm out of my scrap room. I'm actually narrating in another room, so I don't have my stuff in front of me. I think it's Webster's that was from, if I'm not mistaken. I hope it's not right. I hope it's right. I'll try to go back and look and make sure. But the little, up in the left-hand corner, the little string there, it looks like a banner. It came in one of the Hip Kit Clubs, Hip Kits that I received. And so I just decided to put that up in the top corner, and then I'm just handwriting the location of where we were and the date. And I'm going to go ahead and add that on the layout. And the little tag is a Dear Lizzie tag, that little stripe tag down there on the next to the title. And then I'm adding a few more puffy stickers to the layout as well. And of course some enamel dots. I wanted to just add a few enamel dots around the page. And I was just trying to see what else I could find. I just felt like it needed something else up there in the upper left corner. There's the package that came in. I was trying to see who that's by. I thought it needed something else in the upper left hand corner. I was just having a hard time finding something. I went through some old stash that I had, and I found this Mombi like puffy stickers. So I ended up using one of those. It's kind of funny because in hindsight, when you're looking at the video, you're like, you know, it just looks different when you're watching the video back as, you know, from when you actually did the layout. So I was trying to find something to mount that on. In the end, I ended up using, I think, a label, and I ended up covering up a lot of that. Yeah, you see there, I kind of ended up covering up some of that. So not sure if I really like that in the upper corner, but it's down, it's glued, so it's staying. And then I'm using some of these Tim Holtz word stickers. I found these at Michael's and I really like them. It's just, I mean, a lot of companies have these, but man, it's just loaded with stuff. And so I found a few words and I just tucked that under the cut file right on the photo itself. And that's going to pretty much do it. I'm going to give you some close-up shots here, close-ups of it, and you can kind of see that texture on the back with the painting, which I really like. There are those letters up close. They're really cool. So I've got some close-up pictures coming up, and I'm going to go ahead and let you watch those. And again, thank you so much for tuning in. Thanks for watching today, and I hope you've enjoyed it. Make sure you go over to my blog. There's a link in the box below. Head over to my blog so you can actually win this cut file, and you can enter there on my blog. Okay? Thank you again for watching. You have a great day. Bye-bye.